I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and this is the next in my continuing series of diorama builds from Star Wars. For this diorama, I'm going to be using these two kits. Well, I'm going to be using that kit and 1.5 of those kits. The models themselves I have already built, although I haven't painted or put decals on things on them yet. But we have prepared already. Yeah. Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, 2 other TIE Fighters, and a single X-Wing. Now, this is going to be the trench run. It's a diorama that I've thought about doing for a while, but haven't actually got around to doing anything with. But I figured I would. So, first things first, paper. I'm going to plan something. I know it's terrible, you're not used to me doing things, but I've got a few ideas as to how to do this. Now, my initial idea was to do a slice of the Death Star, the trench run, like that. So this is obviously the trench, going back through there, and inside that I'd have the X-Wing being followed by the 2 TIE Fighters and Vader's TIE Fighter. But that, I figure, would only be good if you can look at it either from the end or possibly either side. Probably just this end, really. So I thought that's probably going a bit rubbish and not exactly what I'm after. So I thought, what if I lose the wall? So what I've decided to do now is to have a floor, possibly even a pen that works. I shall change to a different pen. Yes, so we'll have a floor, a back wall, and a bit of surface like that. So this will be, I don't know, so it's got to have some thickness to it as well, obviously. So it's going to be like that, with a stick holding up the X-Wing, a stick holding up Vader's TIE, and obviously the 2 TIEs behind that somehow, somewhere. So that's my initial plan. So first things first, I've got the kits. That's the easy bit. The next bit is the Death Star. So what I've found is some 3D files that I can print of Death Star surface. Now, they don't come as a Death Star surface. They come as tiny little tiles. I'll print some out and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so what I have is a collection of these little tiles. There are several different ones, but duplicates aren't going to be a problem. So even if I've got the same one, I can have it in a different, it won't be next to it, and I can rotate them so it will look different. But these will actually all fit together to make the base, the wall, and I think I want one of these deep as the top. So I'm going to print off lots and lots of these and arrange them together in a pleasing method. I've got a couple that have got holes through them like that, so I think that would be a good one to have as support for that, so I can have a rod coming through, fixing point on that, going through that into the base material. I won't have to worry about sticking to this, which won't work very well. So that's the plan for that. So I've got to do up the models, which isn't going to be a problem. I'm not going to include that as part of this video because it's just putting stickers on or decals or painting a little bit here and there. But the base colours are actually good for these. These are the Bandai kits, which are pretty much out the box all right. They're all push fit kits. You don't need to glue them, although I've glued a couple of bits where the seams were a little bit off. But the main thing is getting these as a base and then seeing how it's going to look with the base models on them. So I'll come up with somewhere mounting them and I'll show you what I've got. And what I've got is some foam. It's not solid, but that doesn't really matter. I have looked at the scale of things and how I would like everything to arrange, and I think 10 of these tiles is the right length for things. So we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so that I think will be a good length. So we've got enough room for the X-Wing to be flying over there, TIE Fighter in front with 2 in the rear, a nice little bit of framing, maybe more distance in there, but that's creates some dead space. So I think 10 wide is a good thing. So how deep is the next question? 3 isn't going to be big enough. They need more than that to move. So 4 deep seems about right to me. It's probably not scale accurate to the film. I don't know. Did they ever have? You could technically get one in 2, so you could have 2 flying side by side. It's going to work fine with the tyres, obviously with some space between them. So I think 4 deep by 3. Now I've got these half scale, half size blocks, which actually a little bit less than half scale, but you know there's going to be some dead area anyway. It's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is mix a couple of those in to mix it up and make, you know, the width, so I won't have them all blocks. I might put one down there and then another one there and the other at the top, so that will create still 4 along, but it will break up the shapes again a little bit further. Although probably not quite like that because they're the same, so I wouldn't put the same next to each other. But yeah, they're the same as well actually, but rotated, it's not so bad. Yeah, so I'll figure out a way of doing it to make it look more interesting. The back wall, I think I might go for 3.5, because where these are going to be obviously fixed at 90 degrees, I don't think I'm going to have trouble if I've got, you know, a block there and a block butted up next to it. So what I'm going to do is have a bit of a gap and then go for a half. So these will all fit nicely against each other like that. Obviously once they're all painted as well, it will blend in together. So that should make a good a backdrop for the kits. So we've got, as I said, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 10, isn't it? Yep. So 10 of those wide. I need to obviously sort out foam, get some of it stuck together. So I'm going to build up a base and put some of these on. I'm just going to fix them in place with PVA Elmer's glue, because they don't need to be structured or anything. The only thing I've got to look out for is a couple of places for these ones with holes, so I can mount ships onto them properly. But that's the plan. I know it's unusual for me to have a plan, but sometimes I do. So I'm going to get a lot more of these printed out, and I'll get them mounted up onto the side, and we'll see how it looks. Right, I'm reinforcing the build with some cocktail sticks. I'm just using them as scaffolding, basically. So where these two need to go together, I'm going to take 2 or 3 of these cocktail sticks, jam them in the side, and then when I slide these together, as well as the glue, that should hold things nicely together. Same with the bit on the top. If I can get it lined up first time, that'd be amazing. Looks pretty good to me. And the same obviously on the side here, although I've missed. Look, I've got them in the wrong place. It needs to go there. But the glue will dry anyway, that's not a problem. So that goes to there. I'll add some more glue to the bottom of that, and that will stick on there like that. I can't get both sides at the same time, although I will put a couple in from the top at a funny angle. So let's get a little bit more glue down here. There we go, that'll do that. So that can go, let's get it the right way around so it looks, so it's got some glue on it. And go for there, push that down, squish it onto there, and then for the sake of holding, we can get a couple through like that. I can either put these further in or pull them out completely when the build is finished. I'll probably just push them in and leave them secure. So that's that. That's 10 across. This is 4 deep. This is not quite. This is just 3 high. So I do need a little bit more height on that. So I'll be using those, no doubt. I've cut a couple of pieces out like that just to stick onto the top, which you can't see from that angle, but trust me, that's going to be the top. So this will be the base for the display. So once that's on, dried, I'll get some panels stuck onto it, and we'll see how it looks when it's ready for paint. Well, I've got the base built and glued together. Still waiting on some of the glue to dry, so that's why you've got some cocktail sticks holding bits in places. But that's the overall sort of thing. I've put the X-Ring and the Advanced in where they're going to be, there or thereabouts. I'm going to be using clear acrylic rod rather than the wood spikes that are there at the moment, but that's just to give me an idea as to positioning. Now, the TIE fighters that are following, I have a slightly different idea for those as to how they're going to be affixed. Because A, they don't have holes in the bottom. They're not built that way. They're built slightly differently. They're built to be attached by the wings using these. So they actually just clip on to the edge of the wing. But I'm not going to use that because that, again, isn't going to fit properly with my design aesthetic. So I'm going to be using some clear acrylic rod for that also, but in a different way. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way and leave it to dry basically before I can get some primer on it. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these. So let me get this out of the way and start again. So with these, as you can see, I have given them again over with some paint to make them look a bit more normal. They do still need finishing off, washing, a little bit of wear and weathering, but I need to do this as well. Now what I'm going to use is this acrylic rod that I used for the previous Scarif diorama, but I'm going to fix it in a different way. What I'm going to do is have one side stuck to the outside of a wing, and on the other wing I'm going to have another bit stuck between two wings. So I need about that much, I think. It's got to go into the model and then out for a bit. So about there. Nothing of this is going to be precise or anything. I've got a little mini saw, which I'm hoping will enable me to cut through this. Yeah, there we go. Without too much trouble. So I'm going to get this cut down to the length and get another little length cut in there as well. And then we'll see, file it down so it's nice and smooth and easy to be glued, and then glue it on. So I've got these now with nice flat ends. This one I've sharpened a little bit so it's easier to push into the foam. This one is going to go about there, I reckon, because I want it to be not right at the bottom where it's going to be more wobbly, but to have a little bit more height than where the hole is and backwards a little bit. So I'm just going to aim for there. Now it should be fairly straight, but it doesn't have to be terribly exact, because nothing's exactly exact on any of these builds. So I'm going to use some of this Gorilla Glue, which is a super glue, but more of a gel, which is quite fast setting, but not ridiculously fast. And I'm basically just going to eyeball it even. Get that there. And pretty much, instead of holding it there, I'm going to, obviously before I do this, I'll get something ready to prop it against that's the right height. There we go, almost made to be the right height. It's going to go a little bit higher than I thought because of that being the right height now. So that will go there. And that looks to be square from all directions. So I shall leave that now to set for a little while. This one is going to be next to it, obviously, that far away, and is going to be, where are we going to go? Forwards a little bit, I think. So this is going to go forwards and higher. So I'm going to put this one on just there. Now this being smaller, I think it's going to hold itself in place okay. So let me just double check that I've got these the right way around. Yeah, they're going that way. They're going that way. So this is then going to go, I have this going a little bit lower. So this is going to be on the high bit and it's going to be on the low bit of that one. So we're going to go for putting that about there. Not quite flat, so let's try and get that angled so it's about right. That looks good to me there. So I shall leave these to dry. I might reinforce them a little bit with a little bit more glue around the edge of the join. And then we can concentrate on a little bit more painting before I finally glue them both together and then mount them to the display. The rest of that rod, I have now two smaller pieces, one which is the right length for the TIE Advanced, and one that's a bit too long for the X-Ring, but I'll cut that down as the final job. So that's it with the coat of black primer down on it. It's covered it nicely. I've had to go over it from several different directions. Now I'm going to put some grey on it, and I'm going to be a little bit more subtle about the direction. I'm going to pick a direction. I'm going to come from up here, sort of top left, and create some shadows, although I'm going to use other directions as well. I'm going to think about light coming from up here. So some recesses and shadows will be darker and not as grey, which is why the black is underneath. So that's next. Again, I can't film that, but I shall show you that momentarily. What I have done is updated the ships. I've put some weathering pastels and shades and things on it to make them a little bit more normal, more realistic, less of the boring shiny white. And I've fitted the transparent rods to both of those, and indeed the normal TIE fighters as well. I've glued the rod between the two, shaded and tidied them up, so they are good to go. They're going to be fitted about, well, further in, but about there. So they'll be sort of that depth, as you can see from there. Obviously the X-Wing at the front and the TIE Advanced in the middle. But that's to become. First I've got to finish the painting on this. So I'm going to break out the grey and get it done with some shading. That's the grey down. I'm very happy with how it's coming together. It's getting there. The directionality has worked. I've got some darker shadows in the recesses, exactly as I intended. Not quite as extreme as I had in my mind, but it didn't really work. So I've gone over with the grey in more directions to make sure it's got some decent coverage, but there are still some highlights. Next up, I'm going to go over with a little bit of white. Not very much, just a little bit from the one direction, just to pick out some edges. And then when that's dry, I'm actually going to go in and do some brush painting in a couple of little areas, just to bring out a couple of little details, perhaps some darker metallics, dark greys and things, just to break it up a little bit and break out some of the tiles where the tiles are duplicated. And I've noticed a couple of them are indeed in the same direction, like this one down here and this one here are the same tile, but you know, and things like this and this stand out quite a lot. If you know they're there, you can see them. Other ones aren't the same but look similar. They've got the same sort of parts to them, but they're different, so that's okay. But I'm going to pick out a couple of bits on a couple of tiles here or there, just to break down the whole thing about tiles, really. Now, from certain angles, it looks lovely. It looks great, as if you're going down the, you know, actually doing the trench run. It looks fine. So that's the intention, and that's what I'm going for. But as I say, a couple of little touch-up pieces, and then that's pretty much it. The ships are done, they're ready to be put on. So next up, after I've done the little detail pieces, should be the finish, the end piece, the end result, the display shot. So I shall see you soon when it's finished. So there we have it, another completed diorama. I'm very happy with how it's come out, actually. It looks fine, it does the part, it tells the story. Yeah, that's basically it. I've done some extra weathering to the trench, the background, as you can see, a couple of little highlighted bits just to add a little focal detail. But there you have the X-Wing being chased down the trench by the TIE fighters. The transparent rods, I'm very happy with the two at the back. They look ideal. From certain angles you just can't tell how they're supported, from most angles in fact. And the transparent obviously does the job for the two bigger ships, or the main ships. The turret on the top, everything works as it should do. So yeah, I'll get some pictures of it with some backgrounds and different angles and shots for it, and put them on the end of the video there. But that is that. I hope you've enjoyed the build. It was quite a simple one, but quite a time-consuming one, mainly printing all the tiles, but all good fun. It could be better, obviously, but you know, it tells the story. That's what the dioramas are meant to do, as far as I'm concerned. So thank you for that. There will be another one upcoming at some point in the near future, so stick around and like and subscribe and all that. And leave a comment, let me know what you think. So thank you for watching. I'll put some photos on a little slideshow at the end now.